Hey yo, what is going on everybody? Depraved Slash here. We are back with another music reaction. I'm Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are...
HellaDepraved.
I wasn't prepared for this. Anyways.
Which part?
The talking period.
Right.
So we've actually had several requests for this. Somebody just recently posted a request for it either earlier today or yesterday, as of this recording. But I've actually had 5, 6, 7 different people over the course of time come through and be like, hey, you guys should react to this. Now, here's the thing. This is not an actual reaction. We've both seen it. This came out well before I decided to be a reactor. It's actually why I really started liking Joyner Lucas.
Right.
And I knew at some point I would eventually get back around to just doing the song, because I knew people were going to eventually want it.
Right. Good timing for it, though. The message is important right now.
I guess it's perfect timing for it, and like I said, we got another request for it, so here we are.
Right. So here we are with the message for covert implied racism.
Right. Some fun facts about the song that some people still seem to get misconstrued. This guy here is not actually rapping, people.
Right.
It is Joyner Lucas rapping. He's mouthing it because Joyner is doing one of his many things where he's rapping from both sides.
He needed a stand-in who looked like this.
Yes. Actually, Crypt gets told he looks like this guy a lot.
I remember that from one of Crypt's reactions to it, yeah.
I actually really like the song. I'm not going to lie, when I first heard the song, because this is the first thing I ever heard from Joyner Lucas. So I didn't even know what Joyner Lucas looked like. I thought this was him.
Because he starts first.
And I'm like, this motherfucker really didn't just go say this.
Right. No, I...
But then I recognize as soon as the black guy starts to rap later, that it's the exact same voice. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
Which one's
But
which?
even then, I'm like, so this must be Joyner. Joyner's not even in this fucking video.
Right. Right.
I think it took... After watching this, I eventually went down the Joyner rabbit hole, and it took watching I'm Sorry to realize who Joyner was.
Right. What he actually looked like.
Oh, yeah, what he actually looked like. So, because, I couldn't just Google it, because that'd be too easy.
Okay.
Anyways. So, yeah.
Gotta do it the hard way.
Right.
Right?
Well, I'm also the same kind of guy that when I get a new video game, I don't look at the controls. Like, a lot of people will look up the controls or go through... I don't. I just play and learn as I go.
Alright. Alright.
Just say.
No spoilers whatsoever, huh?
No. Do not like spoilers. Now, after I've played a game, and like if I quit playing it for a while, and I go back to it and can't remember how to do things, I'm like, man, I know I used to know how to do this. What? And then I'll go look and be like, oh, okay, that's it. But
you figure if you've learned it once, you deserve the knowledge.
Exactly. Okay. But no, so I'm actually super stoked to check this out. We're going to not take this any further intro-wise because it's already a 7-minute song.
So this is a review.
This is a review. It's going to be a long one because we're still going to stop and talk about things.
But it is a review.
But yes, it is a review. So keep that in mind. With that being said, I'm going to slash up and break down. Ladies and gentlemen, Joyner Lucas, I'm not racist. Let's get it.
With all due respect, I don't have...
That is still really loud.
Yeah.
That's really loud for me.
I think my ears just...
Hold on 1 second, guys. Trying to not deafen the girlfriend here.
Why was that so loud?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the volume...
It's normal settings.
Let's take it down a little bit. Okay.
With all due respect, I don't have pity for you black niggas. That's the way I feel. Screaming Black Lives Matter, all the black guys rather be deadbeats than pay your bills. Yelling nigga this and nigga that. Call everybody nigga and get a nigga mad. As soon as I say nigga, then everyone react and wanna swing at me and call me racist cause I ain't black.
True story.
One of the things that I love that Joyner did here, he does a really good job on both sides painting the picture that is usually said.
Mm-hmm. The narrative.
Or the narrative from both sides of each race.
Right.
Because I have a lot of white friends that have thought like this. And
Whether or
I
not
also,
they thought it was racist to
right.
think that way.
And I've also, I grew up in the ghetto, so
Right.
I have more of the ghetto mind state in terms of thinking about things like this. So I'm also one of those people, I don't agree with white people saying it
Right.
at all.
Right.
Um, Now, I have said it personally, not in a racist manner, but like when I'm learning rap music,
Right.
it's hard to not stumble over and say it when you're learning it. Although I do try to eventually find words to replace it with,
Right.
like as if I was to perform it, because I like to karaoke.
Right.
So I try to think of words to replace it. So once I learn it, replace the words,
Right.
move on. Um, and even then, some people don't like the idea of white people saying it, even in that manner.
Right. By themselves.
But I say some people because it really depends. Like I had a buddy from Mississippi, black guy. His name was Otis. I was rapping one day with my headphones on, and I happened to say it, and I took my headphones off, and he's asked him. I was like, "How do you feel about it?" He's like, "I really don't care."
Some don't.
He
Some
was
don't.
like, "Honestly, you're learning the lyrics to the music of my people, and it's gonna happen." He's like, "I don't know why anyone would get mad about something like that." But then you turn around, there are some
Right.
black people that
I-
are
I-
like, "No, you shouldn't say it at all."
Right.
Which I'm of the don't say it at all mentality now. But when I was younger and learning music, like,
Right. I'm definitely of the don't say it at all. And being raised in the suburbs, it other than music,
right.
was not something that I heard a lot. I mean, I was in California, so I was around quite a few African Americans, Asians, the whole nine yards. I heard it, just not like somebody that was raised like you would.
Right. And please let it be known, when I say I grew up in the ghetto, I grew up in the ghettos of Indianapolis, which really isn't that bad. I mean, it's...
Comparatively.
I mean, usually when you think of ghetto, you think of the Bronx from New York, Long Beach, and places like that where most big-time rappers come through and they're like, you know,
Right.
they rep where they're from. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still not like a, you know, still a rough environment, but it's not like I didn't have to worry about dying
Constantly.
constantly.
Right.
As soon as I say nigga, then everyone react and wanna swing at me and call me racist cause I ain't black. Well, pound that then. Talking about slavery like you was around back then. Like you was picking cotton off the fucking ground back then. Like you was on the plantation getting down back then. Alright.
It's another thing I've heard many people talk about. And this mind state I can kind of understand, but I also, again, understand why black people do get upset about it.
Right.
I don't think... I don't like the mind state from any side that anybody should suffer for the sins of their fathers.
Right.
I mean, for most of us, it's our great-great-great-grandparents or great-great-great-great-great-grandparents or whatever.
Multiple greats.
So I can kind of understand where the white side's thinking on this, but at the same time, I also understand as a black person growing up, it was very embedded deep in their heritage that...
It's called generational trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, white people in America, in general, I'm not saying all, but again, bringing the race thing into it, white people still kind of look down on black people. Like, black people don't have the same rights we do, and a lot of it still stems from...
Yeah, I was going to say that a lot of minority cultures, and that depends on where you live, who the minority is, where in the world,
Right.
have some sort of generational trauma that is passed down through stories, talk, history. And that's the thing, is it's history, and it shouldn't be forgotten.
Mm-mm.
Because then we repeat ourselves. And the thing that most white people who use this kind of excuse, I didn't do it, I didn't commit this crime against you, what they're doing is they're discounting that history instead of saying, I hear you. I read the history. I understand. What can we do to make it better now? Not saying like, because I have had someone come at me and say that I am part of the problem, white privilege and everything. I also don't feel that mentality is helpful. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do have white privilege. Yes, maybe I'm not doing enough, or I have relatives that are part of a much bigger problem, or this, that, or the other. But me as an individual, I'm willing to learn, to listen. And that's kind of more the mind state that we need, not this.
Which is the overall arcing, by the way, story of this entire video.
But it's more like, you know, when you say that I'm not that person, and that's, or you're not that person, you're discounting it all. Right. You're just dismissing it out of hand and saying, well, I don't see the problem because I have never owned slaves and you are not a slave, and you're not even remotely listening to the problems that they're still having, or realizing that you don't have the same ones. Right. So, and he also mentions the deadbeat dads, and that's a harder topic. But part of it is because of the problems that they face, and a lot of them end up having to live lives that they wouldn't necessarily want for themselves or their children or whatever, in order to provide. And they end up going to jail, or they end up dying, right. And therefore they're not around. And that doesn't necessarily mean that all of them across the board are not good fathers or didn't want to be good fathers. It just means that they don't have the chance to be the suit and tie, providing, you know, over $100K for the fam each year, and so on and so forth.
Picking cotton off the fucking ground back then, like you was on the plantation getting down back then. Alright, look, I see a black man aiming his gun, but I'd rather see a black man claiming his son. And I don't mean just for one day and you done, I mean...
He brought it back up again, yeah?
Yeah. And a lot of people I've watched reactions didn't understand what he meant by that. Where he says, I want to see a black man claiming his son, and I don't mean for one day and you're done. The one day being tax time.
Right.
But at the same time, this is actually a very misconstrued message. It's not just a black person thing. This is a problem amongst every race in America.
Well, not just America either. But that's, right. I mean, that's why I pointed it out is we see a larger percentage, A, because it's publicized, and B, because of the lives that they live. A lot of them don't get to be around. It's not that they don't want to be around. But yeah, we see it everywhere. Everywhere.
Right.
See a black man claiming his son. And I don't mean just for one day and you done. I mean, you still trapped in a rut. And I work my ass off and pay my taxes for what? So you can keep living off free government assistance, food stamps for your children, but you still trying to sell them for some weed and some liquor, or a fucking babysitter while you part of your...
Okay, I want to point out that the majority of people living off welfare for their kids are women. And I don't mean that racially at all. Just right. Women. In fact, there's been publicized stories like Octomom or whatever, that literally have children to collect welfare. It's not right. They collect welfare because they can't afford to take care of their children, which I'm not demonizing at all. You know, if you need it, get it. Right. But to have children just so that you can get the payout, that's where I'm like, yeah.
Well, and again, this is one of the reasons I love this song so much is, again, Joyner pegged on everything yep. I've heard white people complain about.
I've definitely
everything.
Heard this all. Yep.
And I've did so well with it. And this being another thing, like, again, yes, there are some people, and I'm just saying people, I don't mean this of color, not of color, whatever. Generalized humanity. There are some people out there living off of welfare because they don't want to work. They don't want to get a job. But at the same time, a lot of them are on welfare because they can't get a job. They've tried to get jobs. No one will hire them.
Or here's the other scenario, and this is coming from my personal experience. It took me 3 years after my doctor pulled me out of work for my health. And yes, it was my doctor pulling me out of work, not me asking my doctor. 3 years to win my disability case.
Which is the average, by the way.
Yeah. Now, in order to win that, you have to have worked 10 years of taxable income. Like, you have to have paid taxes for 10 years. Right. And the 3 years I was on Medicaid and barely survived. And so it's not just the people who can't get hired, it's the people that can't afford whatever jobs are available to them with whatever family they have. I mean, Medicaid, which is a form of welfare, paid me $225 a month in food stamps and $250 a month for everything else. For everything.
Right.
So you're talking...
Because rent's not, $700 for most
yeah,
people.
well, yeah, so you're talking whatever rent, 12. You're talking if you need a phone, gas, anything. And then the rest was in food stamps, which meant food stamp only stuff. Which, again, I get, but that's per month.
Right.
So, but a lot of people do have the decision of, okay, the only places that will hire me or that are compatible with the hours that I can work because I have children or so on and so forth, McDonald's. I can get more with welfare and actually afford to feed my children and myself.
Right.
Or I can struggle and maybe not have a babysitter, leave the kids at home. I mean, so it is a debate for a lot of people.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd rather make a crap ton of money off of welfare than making $7.50 an hour. Fast food.
And having to work like super long days and never be around the kids that you're. Yeah, I can see where they're coming from. But there's a very small percentage of people that are trying to actually just legit live off the system when they have no other problems.
Right.
Stands for your children, but you still trying to sell them for some weed and some liquor or a fucking babysitter while you party on the road because you ain't got no fucking goals? You already late. You motherfuckers need to get your damn priorities straight.
It's also hard to have goals when there's not equality.
Well, if you're shot down consistently for absolutely everything that you try to do or for what you had to do or got involved in when you were underage, again, it's like this McDonald's job. Like, how is that goals?
Right.
Like, it just, you have this roadblock in your way. So, I mean, a lot of times you're making more money for the illegal activities. There's you're selling the drugs and everything like that because that becomes what can support your family. The liquor and the drugs and that lifestyle, a lot of people do that to forget the hardships that they're facing.
Which we're not under. Like I'm not personally saying that we agree that people should do that.
No, I don't condone it. I'm just saying that this is that's the cycle that they get stuck in. That's
right.
I mean, it's hard for anyone to. It's also a very hard thing for me to be like, I don't condone doing this, which I don't. But on the other hand, like being stuck told that all you can achieve are these fast food restaurant jobs or janitor or whatever. I completely understand the frustration from that side too.
Right.
Like throw in the towel. That's when you say, fuck it.
Goals? You already late. You motherfuckers need to get your damn priorities straight. Wait. It's like you're proud to be fake, but you lazy as fuck. And you rather sell drugs and get a job and be straight. And then you turn around and complain about the poverty rate. Fuck out of my face.
Hey guys, you wanted this. I'm
Right.
telling you. So this is going to be a long reaction. We're only
For
a minute
those of
in.
you that asked,
Right.
you're welcome.
This, going back to what we've touched on already, but I wanted to reiterate, like, a lot of people do turn to drug dealing and illegal things if it means making sure their kids can eat at night.
Right.
Because I tell you now,
Or they can, or their mama can.
if I had no other options left, I would be out robbing people. I would be out
To feed your
selling
kids.
drugs if it means my kids get to eat.
Right.
Or my family in general gets to eat, like, by any means necessary. It's, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to hear me say that and they're like, oh, that's so fucked up. But it's like, that's how much I love my family.
Right. Honey, I'd stand on the street corner before you had to do that.
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
Dance a pole?
Maybe.
But again, that's the mentality.
Right.
That's where the money is for them when no other options are open and they want to provide for their families. And you know, some people are like, well, what if they don't have kids? A lot of these people support their mothers.
Yep.
A lot of them. Or their brothers and sisters that they've raised because their mama had to work so hard. So, I mean, you're talking about generational support. But yeah, it's the whole no goals and you're lazy and everything is, again, it only applies to a small percentage, and it's all of humanity that fits in that category. The rest are just struggling to make it.
Right.
And get a job and be straight, and then you turn around and complain about the poverty rate. Fuck out of my face. You can't escape problems. You can pray for some change, but can't break a dollar. Got nobody else to blame, so you blame Donald. They fucked the world with a Make America Great condom. My boy's been back. I'm not racist. My sister's boyfriend's black. I'm not racist. My sister-in-law's baby cousin Tracy got a brother and his girlfriend's black.
I hate that line because it's so true. I've heard so many people say some shit like this.
Yeah, so my sister 3 times removed to a half. It's like, what? The fact that you actually know the genealogy, mapping that out to the solid one, like, half African American person, and you know the percentage of African American in that person,
Right.
you might be a racist. You might.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I've
And I'm not going to get super political.
nah.
I may eventually just do a video where I go through and talk, like, that won't be a reaction, where I just go through and say some things that I believe. You guys got to understand this. Politically, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. There are things from both sides I think are good for this country, and I think there's things from both sides I think are bad for this country.
Yep.
I will never diminish somebody's political beliefs. Everyone's allowed to, have their ideas of what they think is right, what they think is wrong. It's part of being human. But what I will say, I do 100% dislike Trump.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be out of office. My problem now, though, is Biden's not any better. And that's who they chose as their Democratic nominee.
I also sit on the fence and
Okay, Biden might be a
terms of-
little bit better.
in terms of politics. And again, it's the whole being able to see faults, pros and cons on both sides. And therefore I vote based on pros and cons versus party.
Right.
I don't have any problems with people having different political opinions, different religious opinions, when I have a problem is when you're actually a menace to society or your views are hateful.
Right.
That's when I start. And Trump is a douche. Just personality wise. That's just nothing political, nothing religious, just him as an individual. He is one of the biggest jerks to have a social media platform recently.
For the last 20 years.
Let me clarify.
No, we were actually just reading she was reading an article today that Trump is out trying to halt same-sex marriages.
The equality and, same-sex marriages, and trying to deny
LGBTQ communities from being able to get kids.
Being able to adopt. While we're all trying to
fight for equality.
He's trying to find Black Lives Matter.
And what this
he's in Senate doing this without the public
really knowing about it.
Right.
And the problem is, this is again a redirection of hate, which is a problem in our country. Anytime we try to make it equal for one set of people, someone else has to get it bad.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that mind state. Why has there always got to be somebody to hate?
I know that historically humanity always has to find the scapegoat. Always. We always have to have the martyr. We always have to have them versus us. And doesn't get us anywhere.
No.
This is what it gets us.
I'm not racist. My sister-in-law's baby cousin Tracy got a brother and his girlfriend's black. My head's in the cloud. Heard there's not enough jobs for all the men in your house. Maybe we should build a wall to keep the Mexicans out. Or maybe we should send them all to the ghetto for now. I'm not racist. And I never lie, but I think there's a disconnect between your culture and mine.
When you were talking about the ghettos before, and you were like, the first thing that comes to most people's minds is the Bronx or whatever. The first thing that came to my mind, and this is coming from somebody who was majoring in 20th century history, European history, at first, before I switched to psychology, were the Jews. Because ghettos were designed for them as well, all over the world.
Right.
And now we still have ghettos, but they're not... Him mentioning the wall is where... I was just thinking, how the Jews were walled in a lot of these ghettos. Like, actually walled in, gated in, couldn't leave, or could only leave for work release or certain hours of the day, and then they had to be back in the ghetto before. When we're just allowing this kind of hate to breed, he's talking about the wall to Mexico. Sure, I protect our borders. I don't think the wall was the idea. I understand not wanting drug trafficking to come through, to try and stop sex trafficking, all of that. But for everybody else, but how soon before we are starting to build walls in our country?
I mean, he's already built one around the White House.
I saw that.
Stay away from me.
Him in.
Yeah.
Like, just shut the gate.
A lot of people calling it the baby cribs.
Right.
The playpen.
I still just need him to, like, come out with, like, a little rattle and...
Now, I'm not racist. And I never lie, but I think there's a disconnect between your culture and mine. I worship the Einsteins, studied the Steve Jobs, but you ride Tupac's dick like he was a fucking god. Oh my God. And
I'm not going to touch too much on this. Just wanted to say this real quick. I absolutely love his rebuttal to this part.
Yeah.
When he comes back.
Right.
Because he's right. Tupac was fighting for his life way before he died.
Right.
That's why the black community looks up to him so much, because they're going through it now. Still, all these years later.
I forget if I said this in a reaction or just talking to someone else, but college was generated because it's following in the footsteps of privileged white men. But what I mean by privileged is wealthy enough that they didn't have to work.
Right.
Upper tier society, and it wasn't a paid finishing school like it is now, higher education. It was they got around. Well, it wasn't just white men, because obviously this happened in Spain and so on and so forth, but they would get around and they would discuss ideas, philosophy mostly, and then they would come up with scientific discoveries, but basically it was just them sitting around having discussions and sharing knowledge and whimsical ideas that turned into something. So yeah, I mean, science is important. Einstein and Steve Jobs were brilliant people, but if you're struggling with day-to-day life, how are they role models?
Right.
I mean, if you understand the theory of relativity, but you can't get a job further than a janitor because you couldn't afford to go to college, what good does that do you?
Right.
Studied to Steve Jobs, but you ride Tupac's dick like he was a fucking god. Oh my god. And all you care about is rapping and stunting and being ratchet, and that's the nigga within you. Music rotting your brain and slowly start to convince you. Then you let your kids listen and then the cycle continues. Blame it all on the menu, blame it on those drinks, blame it on everybody except for your own race. Blame it on white privileges, blame it on white kids, and just blame it on white citizens. Aim at the vice president.
We're just gonna keep going. We'll come back to that thought.
Blaming on white kids and just blaming on white citizens. Aim at the vice president. Bunch of class clowns. Niggas kneeling on the field, that's a flag down. How dare you try to make demands for this money? You gonna show us some respect. You gonna stand for this country, nigga.
Although I will touch on this subject. So many people been out of shape over Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem before football games. And those same people are confused as to why there's so much violence with what's going on now. And it's because they tried to peacefully protest, and then you're going to protest their protest. And you're going to get mad about it.
And you're still protesting their protest.
And now that there's violence, you're still protesting their protest even more. What this country needs is change.
Right.
And so many people just want this all to end so they can go back to their normal lives without having any fucking inconvenience. When being black, their lives have constantly been inconvenienced.
Well, look, and here's the other thing that comes with the whole flag thing that has been an argument that I've heard is freedom isn't free. And the respect for the flag and the people that fought for our original freedom, this, that, and the other. This country has always had slaves. That's how we founded a lot of the country. And it has been built on the deaths of not only the Native Americans, which was just flat out genocide, but the African Americans and the Asians that were brought in to do a lot of the work for us. So while we have had people that have enlisted, fought willingly, I mean, even the ones that have been drafted, at least they knew that the draft was coming. They had somewhat of a choice to fight for us. Whereas the African Americans, the Black Lives Matter movement that we're doing right now, they didn't. They're still dying in this country for those freedoms that we like to throw in their face and say, you need to stand for the flag. You need to show how proud you are. And well, we don't really give them anything to be proud of. We don't acknowledge the fact that more of them have died for us. Yeah, I just, yeah.
Man's for this money, you gonna show us some respect. You gonna stand for this country, nigga. I'm not racist. I'm just prepared for this type of war. I heard Eminem's rap at the awards. Who's he fighting for? Y'all can take that motherfucker too. He ain't white no more.
You know what's funny? I'm not a big. Obviously, I've not even got 2,500 subs yet.
Right.
But so many times I've thought about drawing that line myself and being like, look, if you don't like it, fuck off.
Right.
Here's the thing that irritates me the most. Is we know some people that have had this thought that won't listen to Eminem anymore because of that stand that he made. And Eminem's actually turned around and came back and apologized for how he worded things.
Right.
And when you try and tell the same people that have had that problem, like, hey, you need to go listen to this song, which was The Ringer, by the way, off of Kamikaze.
Right. Which was, by the way, I still believe in what I was trying to say. I just did not word it the right way. It's like a full-blown apology. It's not like he's like, oh, I support Trump. He's not retracting his statement, which a lot of famous people have done once they get a lot of flack for it. That's not what this is. I worded it incorrectly.
Right. But at the same time, he's got enough money. I don't think he really cares how much of his fan base split.
Right.
I think to a point he does care, but I think to a point, like, there comes a point in time where when you go to make a stand, you're going to understand people are going to stop following.
Right. I have
and I'm okay
more
with
respect for him that he didn't retract it. He didn't. He also didn't blow them off. The Ringer is his explanation. Hey, it wasn't worded the way that it should have been, but I still stand behind the sentiment. Right. And for that, I have respect for him. Even if I do like Eminem, by the way, but even if I didn't like him, I would still respect that kind of movement. And I'm sure he cares, but only to a degree. It's like, I'm sad I lost them, but if I'm going to lose them over this, something that I'm firm in my beliefs about, then c'est la vie.
Reminds me of actually a line in Mosh that he wrote. He says, something about speaking to these kids to stand and fight for the right to say something you might not like. Like, everybody's not always going to agree, which is fine. It's, again, a part of being a human being. We all have different ideas of what we think is right and what we think is wrong to an extent. But I don't know where that thought was going. I just like that line because it very much made me think of the conversation we were having. Because there are going to be some people that just don't like what you've got to say, and you know what, to them, fuck them.
Right.
Eminem's rap at the awards. Who's he fighting for? Y'all can take that motherfucker too. He ain't white no more. It's like you want to be so famous, you'll do anything for attention and a little payment. I can't take you nowhere without people pointing fingers. Pants hanging off your ass, you ain't got no home training. Put your fucking pants up, nigga. Put that suit back on. Take that do-rag off. Take that gold out your mouth.
I will say in the black culture growing up, because I grew up 90s, early 2000s, sagging was a big thing. I never understood the sagging thing. I tried to, and I was like, I can't walk in this shit.
Right.
Now, I didn't talk shit about people that did do it. I just knew for me, it wasn't comfortable enough for me to walk around like
right.
that.
And I knew a fair percentage of white people that did it too.
Right. Now, I wear baggy pants. I still wear baggy pants. You will not see me in no skinny jeans.
Right.
I'm way too old for that shit. The people that I grew up with would have made fun of motherfuckers for wearing skinny jeans.
True.
I
do.
You make fun of them or you wear them? I hope you wear them.
Jeans. I'm wearing a pair.
I guess. But sagging was the one thing I didn't understand. Again, it was never one of those things where I was like, oh, y'all need to pull your fucking pants up.
Right.
But it was just like, hey, whatever y'all are cool with, I'm not comfortable with that shit. That's
right.
I can't walk in it.
Right. Well, and again, it's something that I've heard, but I think I've heard more of like the young generation, because so many different races, at least in my area, did the same thing. Right. So it was more, like the parental figures, like the younger generation just needs to pull their pants up. No one wants to see their drawers type shit. Wasn't racist, like racial oriented.
Right.
And put your fucking pants up, nigga. Put that suit back on. Take that do-rag off. Take that gold out your mouth. Quit the pitiful stuff. And then maybe police will stop killing you fucks. Yo, what the fuck? I'm not racist. It's like we're living in the same building but split into 2 floors. I'm not racist. But there's 2 sides to every story. I wish that I knew yours.
And it's like the middle lane interlude here before Black Guy starts rapping. I like how that ended.
I wish I knew yours.
It's him realizing he's trying to understand their side of things and how they're thinking about things and basically why they are the way they are.
While what he said, how he said it perfectly worded, because again, we've heard this stuff and I've said almost like that, is somewhat aggressive and like, this is how I feel. You can also see that he's frustrated. And so, yeah, I like the way that it ends, that there's 2 sides to every story, and I wish I knew yours, because he's so frustrated with what he sees as being this cyclical problem, and they're lazy, and they're just not put, and then they complain about poverty and this, that, and the other that he's asking. And honestly, that's how most of this stuff should end, is I'm willing to listen.
Right.
Please tell me. Please inform me. Again, we've talked about everybody is entitled to their own opinion. That's part of humanity. And I don't have a problem with people having differing opinions. Most of the time, I want them to explain why they formed that opinion or they hold that belief. And I may not agree, and most of the time, I'm okay with disagreeing on subjects. It's just there are certain lines.
Right.
I wish that I knew yours.
I love that shot of the pole being right in between them.
Yep, the divide.
I'm not racist. I swear. With all disrespect, I don't really like you white motherfuckers. That's just where I'm at. Screaming all lives matter is a protest to my protest. What kind of shit is that?
I also have a problem with that.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think that they're just saying all lives matter because all lives do matter. What they don't realize is that actually the movement started to discredit and derail Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
Which, and I've posted this on several things too. They're not saying only Black Lives Matter. They too believe all lives matter, but the problem is Black people aren't being treated equally as everyone else.
So, all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter too, and as much as everyone else's. But we're now being treated as sort of a throwaway race.
Right.
Screaming all lives matter is a protest to my protest. What kind of shit is that? And that's one war you'll never win. The power in the word nigga is a different sin. We shouldn't say it, but we do, and that's just what it is. But that don't mean that you can say it just because you got nigga friends.
Right.
Nigga. That word was originated for you to keep us under. And when we use it, we know that's just how we greet each other. And when you use it, we know there's a double meaning under. And even if I wasn't picking cotton physically, that don't mean I'm not infected by the history. My grandmama was a slave. That shit gets to me, and you ain't got no motherfucking sympathy, you pussy nigga.
That's exactly what I said. You don't have sympathy.
Right.
And that's... I mean, a lot of us talk about, oh, my great-grandmother did this, or we're proud of, I don't know, them being a Civil War veteran, or we have attachment to personal historic figures in our genealogy.
Right.
This is no different. And they're still suffering for some of the consequences.
Right.
There was something else that he had. It's okay.
A slave, that shit gets to me, and you ain't got no motherfucking sympathy, you pussy nigga. I'm sorry, you can never fill my life. Trying to have faith, but I never feel alright. It's hard to elevate when this country's ran by whites, judging me by my skin color and my blackness. Trying to find a job, but ain't nobody call me back yet. Now I gotta sell drugs and put food in my cabinet. You crackers ain't slick, this is all a part of your tactics. Don't talk.
That's exactly.
You guys aren't going to get as much pausing during this, because I feel like we used the other dude's entire verse to debate all this going
Right.
into it. So, I mean, you guys know our stance on
A lot of
this now
I really like.
as he responds.
It is a slur, but I like how he, Joyner, wrote that part where he's talking about food in the cabinets, and then the slur was cracker. So he is getting a little bit of, the doubles in here, just fitting them in with
Right.
his message. I also like how...
I call my friends crackers. My
Wow.
white friends. I tried calling a few of my black friends crackers, they didn't really like it. And I was like, I'm sorry, I really wasn't trying to piss you off. But
Right? Well.
because those same black friends have called me the N-word. And like, I'm not going to say
You
that
can't
back. Even if they
reply,
told me I
so,
could,
yeah.
I'm not going to.
Right.
So,
You just made me lose my thought.
I'm
It's
good at that.
okay. Yeah. You lose your thoughts.
I
most
do.
of the time,
Mid-sentence
right?
sometimes.
Don't. Yeah. All right.
Now I gotta sell drugs and put food in my cabinet. You crackers ain't slick, this is all a part of your tactics. Don't talk about no motherfucking taxes when I ain't making no dough. You think you know everything, but you don't. You wanna copy our slang and everything that we know. Try to steal black culture and make it your own. Whoa. Fuck, I'm exhausted. I can't even drive without the cops trying to start shit. I'm tired of this systematic.
now, that is something I both agree with and disagree with, is the cultural appropriation idea, in the form that he used it.
Right.
Just because I don't think it's so much white people are trying to steal things from the culture and make it their own. Kids are growing up on this.
Right.
Kids are hear rap music, hear what's being rapped about and things like that, and they're trying to imitate that lifestyle.
Right. There's some versions of cultural appropriation that I don't agree with,
Right.
and some that I think are highly respectful. They just love it. Such as hip hop music, wanting to do that for themselves because they actually have a true love and appreciation for
And
it.
to be honest, almost all music that Americans listen to today were started by black people.
Yeah.
Black people were the originators of rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about country, but rap, jazz,
Soul, blues.
blues,
Mm-hmm.
pop, because really pop was a diversion of R&B,
Well, but all of it has been melded.
right.
Seriously melded. So, I mean, I think as long as things are kept respectful and it's not something that you're stealing to make money off of,
Right.
or that you're doing just for the views, to be cool, to, take pictures and post, but it's not something that you actually love or stand behind.
Right. I had a thought. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
I had nothing to do with any of this. That's how my mind works.
This
guys.
is how,
Sorry.
yeah, tangential threads is how we live, so you'll excuse us.
Fuck, I'm exhausted. I can't even drive without the cops trying to start shit. I'm tired of this systematic racism bullshit. All you do is false shit. This the shit that I'm false with. And you don't know shit about my people. That's what bothers you. You don't know about no fried chicken or no barbecue. You don't know about the two-step or no loot.
Real quick, I know about some fried chicken and barbecue. Again, my buddy Otis invited me to one of his, which was a funny story, by the way. He invited me to one of his birthday parties one year. I was like, yeah, man, I'll show up. I get there. I call and let him know I'm there. I go to walk around in the backyard. I am the only white person here, which is fine. I went to school
Right.
like that. I'm cool with it. But I walk around, and everybody's hands go from on top of the table to under the table, and they all sit up.
God. They didn't do anything.
And Otis looks over at me, looks over at them, and starts laughing. He's like, yo, it's cool. He's not the police. And they're like, all right, cool. So they all get their hands. They're all rolling weed is what they're doing.
Right.
All of them are like rolling their own joint. And I just started cracking the fuck up. It was...
You're like, you should have seen your faces. But
But still to this day, the best barbecue I've ever had in my life.
yeah, but that is exactly what he's talking about. That reaction to one white person. That kind of ingrained cynicism.
Right.
You know?
Bothers you. You don't know about no fried chicken or no barbecue. You don't know about the two-step or no loose change. You don't know about no 2 chains or no Kool-Aid. You don't know. And even though Barack was half as black, you hated President Obama. I know that's a fact. You couldn't wait to get him out and put a cracker back. And then you gave us Donald Trump, and that was payback for that.
Don't get me wrong, I was not a fan of Obama either.
I haven't been a fan of most presidential
Right.
elects or politicians.
The last president I was a fan of was Bill Clinton. And even then, really the only reason I liked him was because he actually did a lot to lower the U.S. national debt.
Oh, okay.
And did a really good job of it.
Yeah.
I'm also one of those people that honestly, I detest him for getting a blowjob on the side, but at the same time I understand. I'm like, well, if Hillary's not, doing things that, make him happy, while I would not take that route, I understand.
Right. I can't condone your behavior, but I do understand. Just maybe be more discreet. And I don't know.
I know, guys, that doesn't mean I'm a cheat on my baby. I love her.
He also doesn't have that problem. Not necessarily.
But no, I mean, Obama wasn't terrible. I just don't think he was as good as what people were hoping he was going to be.
Well, again, here's the thing,
But it's not solely him.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is people think of the president as this can-do everything, ultimate power in the country position. It's not. And I'm not making excuses for any of them. Like I said just minutes ago, I have not liked any of the politicians or presidential elects for a long time. But the problem is their hands are tied a lot of times. They are our spokesperson, our representative, which is one reason Trump is
As bad as he is, the dude just needs to stop talking.
Yeah, well, and being orange, since their face is also our representation. But the Senate, all the checks and balances of the system, all of that stuff ties their hands. And therefore, in 4 years, they cannot change everything that we expect them to be able to do.
Did you know who jokingly said they were going to run for president, and 100% I would have voted for them if they'd have ran this year? The Rock.
I would have voted for Dwayne.
I'd have straight up voted for Dwayne.
Hell
man.
yeah.
I could already see the campaign slogan now: "Boost
Do you
asses
smell?
2020."
Do you smell what the Rock's got cooking?
I don't know, because he's
He's a stand-up guy.
stand-up guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and he's legitimately nice. Like, he's a stand-up, nice guy with a good sense of humor that you can tell takes things very seriously, but with a good dose of humor. And
Right.
I think, we need someone that borders that. Like, he's not the Harvard suit and tie, but he's not, the illiterate sounding person we've got now.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I will say here as well, on a bit of a comical note, he flipped the table. That is me every time I've played Monopoly. Fuck this game!
I don't play Monopoly.
I don't anymore.
Because
I've had friends go, dude, you should come over, we're going to get a game of Monopoly.
Hell
No.
No.
Not my thing.
When I was 7, I cheated at Candyland just to get the ice queen? Whatever. Very end, card that you could get. Board games and
Oh, I love board games, just not Monopoly. I like complex board games with rule systems.
Yeah,
and
you said
things.
you'd show me at some point, but at this point, those are the ones that I know, and the only one that I truly enjoy is Clue. I will
Clue is
whoop
actually a
your
good one.
ass at Clue.
Bring it.
Yes.
We need more people, though, because two-person Clue is
Yeah, we
boring
need
as hell.
at least 4. Yeah.
There's a game like Clue that I think you'd like.
Okay. I have the Xenoscope Alice Madness game too. We gotta play that.
You don't know about the two-step or no loose change. You don't know about no 2 chains or no Kool-Aid. You don't know. And even though Barack was half as black, you hated President Obama. I know that's a fact. You couldn't wait to get him out and put a cracker back. And then you gave us Donald Trump, and I was payback for that. I'm not racist. I never lied, but I noticed a disconnect between your culture and mine. Yeah, I praised Tupac like he was a fucking god. He was fighting for his life way before he fucking died, nigga. And all you care about is money and power and being ugly, and that's the cracking within you. Hatred all in your brain that slowly start to convince you that.
And that's something that is very true with a lot of, like, black people's mind state survival.
And more about money.
And white people very much about power and money. And
well, it's because we're not well.
Which he's about to say we're raised that way. It's a difference in how people are raised.
And again,
black people have to tell their kids all the time, your life is always in
step
danger.
by step. These are the things that you need to be cautious about.
Like cops are almost always out to get you.
Yep.
And things like that. And then white people are raised to, you need to go to college, you need to get a good degree, you need to get in these specific fields of employment.
Yep.
And
yep, white picket fence, get married, 2.5 kids, which, by the way, I never understood that. I don't want, like, half a kid running around.
I have a dark humor joke I'm going to keep to myself for public sake.
Probably. But yeah, I and again, all of this is generalized. It's not on an individual basis, because there are people of all races that are struggling just to live through the next day. Not necessarily from outside violent type problems, but just to eat. Health-wise, they can't get any treatment. They don't have clean water, just struggling to live through the day. But as a general rule in America, that is how we're raised. That is what our parents tell us is the ultimate goal. For them, it's make it through. And for us, it's here's how much you need to make. And here's what will get you that gold star of achievement.
Money and power and being ugly, and that's the cracking within you. Hatred all in your brain that slowly start to convince you. Then you teach it to your children until the cycle continue. Blame it on Puerto Rico, blame it on OJ, blame it on everybody except for your own race. Blame it on black niggas and blame it on black citizens. Aim at the black businesses. I ain't saying I'm innocent, but I might be any day now. Treating everybody how you want in any way how. I swear North Korea about to bomb us any day now. And now I'm ducking every time I hear a fucking plane now. Shit. I make a lot of sense, but you just can't admit it. When Eminem went against Trump, that was the illest. Cause even though he's white, he let us know he's standing with us. I'm not racist, but I cry a lot. You don't know what it's like to be in a frying pot. You don't know what it's like to mind your business and get stopped by the cops. And I know if you about to die or not. You worry about your life, so you take mine. I love you, but I fucking hate you at the same time.
I think that part almost made me cry the first time. That I love you, but I fucking hate you at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this message was incredibly poignant the first time I listened, so I'm pretty sure I teared up at multiple points.
You can sit here any day of the week and look at me and be like, if we were to have a conversation, I don't mean you specifically, but anybody, look at me specifically and try and say some of these things to me, like, or not like him, but like white people look at me and be like, well, they shouldn't have done this crime. Okay, but that's not the only problem. Do you know how many times white cops have pulled black people over to give them a fake charge just to harass them?
Right. Like I read a whole article, it was super early for most people this morning, but for me it was last night. And it was about a repairman, and he was college educated, had a degree, had his own I think he was like an electronics major, his own repair company, because he had problems getting a job because he was African American. Had his own company, did repairs, would not do repairs after dark because of the danger to himself. Got stopped at least 7 times a year in his repair truck that had clear signage, in his repairman's uniform, and they would say that he looked like someone who had just committed a crime. And of course, he is in his uniform, people. And he would have his login books searched. They would ask why he had money in the truck, lockbox money with invoices. They would want to search the boxes that held all of the repair instruments and pieces, parts for maintenance. I mean, how fair is that?
Right. I'm sorry, but being black is not an excuse for, or not a cause of, damn it, I had a word for it, suspicion.
Yeah. They should not automatically be suspicious because of the melanin in their skin. The other thing that he pointed out, and you had said something that touched on this, is I'm not innocent, but nobody is. No. Children are about the only thing that can be counted as innocent of any crimes. And just because someone has a history does not mean A, that they've changed, or B, that they should be killed, basically, for something innocent at that time. That's not an excuse for the cops. That's not an excuse for the perpetrator of the crime if they're not cops. Each person has a history. Now,
that really irritates me too, because it's like, literally, I see it all the time. Every single black person that I can think of that has been killed unjustly by police, there's always somebody that's like, yeah, but look at his criminal record. What the fuck does his criminal record have to do with this incident?
Right, it's this incident.
Like George Floyd.
At this point in time.
Like George Floyd.
His record
2009 was the last time he'd committed
That's 11 years ago, people. Right. 11 years ago.
He had turned his life around, tried to change kids' lives around. He was mentoring,
yeah. That in this incident, he did absolutely nothing. He told the officer multiple times that he couldn't breathe.
Right.
So he informed him. He didn't just expire without informing the cop that something was wrong. And multiple people were watching. It was being recorded.
At the very beginning of all of this, though, I remember there was somebody that was like, well, he was resisting. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but if it gets to the point where I can't breathe,
I'm going to
you're
squirm.
Going to squirm to try and get into a position
There's
that
a struggle.
You can breathe.
Yeah.
It's not fighting the cops. It's fighting to live.
And they shouldn't. The whole thing is wrong because the cop should never have put his knee on his neck in the first place.
No.
There have also been people who have expired due to a knee in the back, which is actually a little bit more. It's more taught. Should not be. It shouldn't be a thing, people. No. And he didn't do anything for that treatment on that day. And 11 years ago, it's an awful long time to judge someone for some small criminal behavior. We're not talking about a serial killer or rapist here.
No. Maybe some robberies.
Yeah, but...
No. You worry about your life, so you take mine. I love you, but I fucking hate you at the same time. I wish we could trade shoes so we could change lives so we can understand each other more, but that'll take time. I'm not racist. It's like we living in the same building but split into both sides. I'm not racist. But there's two sides of every story and now you know mine. Can't erase the scars with a bandage. I'm hoping maybe we can come to an understanding.
I remember the first time I watched this, I cried there.
We can have an understanding. I'm not racist.
What I really feel bad about too, though, did you know he actually caught a lot of shit for doing this role? When people actually found out who it was, there were a lot of people that were mad at him, and it's like, yo, he was just a fill-in actor, guys. Calm down.
Oh, because they thought he was actually saying that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh. No, guys, come on. And again, I'm not condoning a white person using any of the slurs, just any, towards any race, guys. Just don't. But this was to start a discussion. So I'm not saying that he should have said it, but it was Joyner doing it. It's kind of amusing.
Love this song though, and like I said, it was something we knew. I knew, at least personally, I was eventually gonna have to get around to. Because like I said, people have been requesting this for a long time. But I have a hard time justifying reviews when there's so much music out there
to react to.
What
really saddens me about this is this song is from over a year ago.
2 years ago.
And he touched on the Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter movements, and
Joyner was trying to get people to talk way before all this shit happened.
To open up the discussion of, that's the only way that we're going to break the cycle.
Right.
This we teach our children that he mentions. Yeah, the only way is to come together and open up the discourse so that we actually do have the sympathy and understanding of where we're coming from and why it is that way.
Right.
And instead, what are we doing? All lives matter.
I mean, I've done my part, or tried to do my part in raising my kids to be loving of all people. We also got put in a different situation than what a lot of white kids get put into growing up. And I mean by we, I mean my kids. Because like my son has had family members from all walks of life. Both my son and daughter. Very early on, their stepdad's black.
Mm-hmm. Their half brother.
Well, that came later, but their stepdad's black.
Mm-hmm.
Or step-grandparent is black. Because my ex-wife's mom married a black guy. And then, again, when I say all walks of life, their great-grandmother was obese, so they don't look at, like...
size, shape.
And their uncle from the same family has no legs. He walks around on knee pads and rides in a wheelchair. So, and then their actual, like, blood uncle is gay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they've got... Well, and then now their half-brother, because my ex-wife was engaged to a black dude.
Engaged, I think.
Never ended up getting married. They actually split up. Now she's with another female. So there's, they have literally all walks of life within their family, and we've done our best to try and raise them to just love people.
Right.
To the point where, like, my son has given every bit of money he had saved up for months to homeless people to help them out. I've seen the kid cry over one of us stepping on a bug.
I could see.
He does not eat meat because of his love for animals, even though there are some exceptions and times he will eat meat, which is really weird.
I'm still suspicious if chicken nuggets actually count as meat.
No, he eats like hamburger in terms of ground up hamburger for like tacos and stuff.
Oh.
He won't eat an actual hamburger, but we had to convince him to eat them because we called him dinosaur eggs when he was a kid. He's like, oh, I want to eat some dinosaur eggs. But yeah, so I mean, we've wanted to raise them in better situations than what we were raised. Not my direct family, but people on my direct family's like extended siblings, like my aunts and uncles. A lot of them are very racist. My mom kept me from them because she didn't want me down that path. I remember one of my cousins, she started dating a black dude, and like 90% of my mom's side of the family was so pissed. And I was just like, what's the fucking problem?
Right. See, and I'm definitely of the mentality that you judge people individually. And it's okay for them to have differing opinions, no matter, what color, what stance they take. But like I said, there are some lines. Some people are just assholes. And anybody that kind of perpetuates hate is somebody that I can't abide. So I don't know.
Now, please understand, there are some things I disagree with as well, and some of the things I've heard from the Black Lives Matters movement. And I'm not talking about with anything specific with them, but more specific with, like, a lot of people are saying cops should never use lethal force. And there's some situations that do call for it. I mean, legit call for it. There was an incident not too long ago where a guy ended up killing 2 people and got shot like 19 times. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people were like, you know, he was shot 19 times.
And it's excessive, like, blah, blah, blah.
They're like, it's excessive. And I get, you guys think it's excessive. I agree it's a little excessive, but if you think about it, there were 10 officers. Each one had their gun pointed at him. They're all taught to double tap.
Correct.
When they hear the first gunshot go off, they're going to hear everyone's going to follow suit. That just means one of the officers missed.
Right. And look, there are situations that call for it. I
was gonna say, the dude had already killed 2 people. Like, at that point,
and would not put down his weapon when told multiple times. That one was actually handled correctly. Do I think that there needs to be an independent review board for cops in general, in terms of whether the force that they used was necessary? Yes, I do. I also don't think that the whole movement to defund police forces.
No, if anything, they need to
that's anarchy, people.
They need to give more funds into the training.
Well,
I don't mean give it to the actual police force itself, but to organizations that can come in, train them on how to properly de-escalate situations.
I also think that a lot needs to go into when they're originally joining the force. Psychological testing and so on and so forth, review boards for a lot of this stuff, but the more we do this, the more we put hate towards them instead of changing, the less good people we get who want to be on the force to actually do what they're supposed to do. So,
there's a lot of changes that need to be made. We could sit here and probably talk for hours on all the different ones. I'm not going to.
But the first thing that needs to happen is that people need to realize that Black Lives Matter just as much as ours. And here's the thing: people hear Black Lives Matter and they get very dismissed. Of course they matter, but then they're not thinking about the fact that they need to matter equally.
Right. And I've had people say, "Oh well." They are treated equally. No, they're not.
They're not.
No. But that's another argument for another time. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short. I gotta pee.
We're gonna cut it short.
We gotta cut it shorter than.
We're gonna cut it long.
We're gonna cut it long. Whoa, no. But no. So we're gonna go ahead and end it here. If you guys like the video, be sure to slash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Comment down below what else you guys would like to see reacted to, as well as. I bet this is almost an hour long.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
We love y'all.
You asked for it.
We love you.
We love you.
And we will see you all later.
Peace.